So yesterday, I saw a very interesting comment on one of my videos. Well, the only video that I uploaded yesterday, shall I say, regarding Chidi and Rayne. And you see, after seeing this comment itself in particular, and we will be going over it, I noticed that the same person was also commenting on other people's posts. And I sat and I said to myself, why is this person so actively involved trying to defend Chidi and trying to be so defensive? Well, that's when I was able to, well, not necessarily me, but this is when I was able to come across, her Instagram page. And this is when I figured out who she was. She was, or she is, shall I say, Chidi's sister, the same sister that is currently with him on the show. And I was like, oh, interesting. Now, I want you to bear this in mind. In this first post that she made on 31st of August, she says, love is beautiful. Chidi and Rayne are at it. Watch out for this inspiring love story that started 5 years ago on this blues app. It's coming live on Sunday, September. Interesting. So we was expecting a inspiring love story, which means everything that the sister would have witnessed between Chidi and Rayne would have been positive, right? Or was this the network that made her say this? Bear that in mind. So here's the thing. I decided to go across and see her other posts. And then I recognized that she had pretty much copy and pasted the same thing that Chidi said on his page after Chidi received backlash for the fact that he did not tell Rayne the truth. In terms of the fact that she found out once she got to Nigeria that she was not going to be intimate with him and she was not going to be sleeping in the same bed as him. And because of this, well, Chidi decided to come out with a statement, making things abundantly clear. So, as you can see, the sister says, Chidi has clarified this situation and has the following to say. Honestly, what would you do in this position? And pretty much this is what he had to say on his page. Now, I'm only going to read these two paragraphs to remind you guys what was said by him, not all of it. If you want to hear all of it, the video I made yesterday tells you everything that you need to know, which therefore would make this video make even more sense. So, of course, there are times when silence is golden, but there are also times when silence can be morally dangerous. It is against this backdrop that I wish to clarify some issues regarding the episodes aired so far. The primary issue is the decision not to have intimacy or share a bed until we are married. While this is a decision I have made, I want to make it clear that I informed Rayne about this before she came to Nigeria. Upon hearing this, she reacted with overwhelming anger, threatening to cancel her visit, later changing her mind. Okay, so this is what Chidi had to say. Now, interestingly enough, the same comment that you see here, okay, that she made here, right, is the same comment that she also makes in her post here as well. So my point with this one is that she does love to do the good old copy and paste. So with that being said, I am going to read off here because it's easier here. It's all in one, if you know what I mean. And once I read this, I would be interested to see if anybody does find things that are somewhat contradictive. At least I think they are, in my opinion. But I'm curious if you guys see what I see. Well, for whoever that cares to know the truth, Rayne and Chidi met in 2018. Communicate very well until her madness. They later broke up and never spoke to each other for 2 to 3 years. Only for Rayne to call Chidi up on June last year, informing him about the show. Chidi wasn't even on social media because he was robbed of his Android phone and computer. He was in school doing his MSc. So it was the direct line Rayne called because she couldn't reach him through the internet. It's interesting because the sister said that this is an inspiring love story that started 5 years ago. But you're telling me out of those 5 years, these two wasn't even communicating for nearly 2 to 3 years? Very inspiring. To be fair, it is a definition of a lot of relationships in today's society. On and off, on and off. No, we're not. It's a situationship. We were on a break. Okay, whatever. She didn't even inform Chidi she was applying for the show. And Chidi had never known anything about it. So you're telling me after 2 to 3 years, she reaches out to Chidi, and she reaches out to him to tell him that she had applied for the show. So she didn't reach out to him to rekindle things. She reached out to let him know that she had applied for the show, which therefore led to 2 weeks later, the producers contacted Chidi for an interview. As a matter of fact, Chidi did the auditions with a borrowed phone. Don't know why that's relevant. Rayne was so desperate about the show, begging Chidi to help her. So she reached out to him so he could help her. This had nothing to do with love. It was all about helping. This is what you're telling us, right? Okay. Bear that in mind, okay? She couldn't afford the regular calls. Of course not, because ringing someone internationally is expensive. I couldn't blame her for that one. You know, this is the problem with people in Africa. They think that everybody that lives in the UK, that lives in the States, lives in Canada, you name it, they think we're all balling. They think that we can afford to ring them internationally all the time for free. Until they get here and then they realize it. Anyway, she couldn't afford the regular calls because she needed to be in regular touch with Chidi, hence needed social media. And Chidi not having a smartphone at the time was a bigger barrier. So she thought of getting a phone for him. So we don't know if she did get him one, but she thought about it. Okay. Makes sense. It would be cheaper for her to do that than it would be for, to keep calling him regularly on a normal phone. Interesting though how he couldn't get his own phone, to be honest with you, or how his sister couldn't get him his own phone, to be fair. Interesting. Very interesting. Of course, she edited the chats for indictment, and it's all good. Now, the chat that she's talking about is referring to the one we spoke about in yesterday's video, where we see the conversation going back and forth with her and Chidi. I recommend you check it out, okay? Now, whether or not she's telling the truth about those chats being edited, I guess that's up for you folks to decide. For me, I'm a bit unsure. She used Chidi. She used him. I'm sorry, but you told us already. Just put it out there that she contacted him, begging him to be on the show to help her out. And he chose to say what? Yes. So how did she use him if he knew what he was getting into? Make it make sense. Even when Chidi was seriously talking about marriage, she asked if he was crazy. I don't know why marriage was even important at that point, to be honest with you, but okay. If he ever wanted her to lose her child support. Now, I get it. Because obviously, if they got married, it makes sense. Chidi informed her he won't be sleeping with her. Together, she cancelled the trip, blocked Chidi, later on called Chidi again, begging him to just maintain so they could smile on the camera. Interesting. So in this last paragraph, as you saw again, this is where allegedly Chidi did inform her about this information. She then gets upset about it, disappears, and then returns again. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is a inspiring love story. So out of the 5 years, this is what we decided here. Out of the 5 years, they were only in contact for 2 to 3 years. Also, within out of those 5 years, it seemed as if after them reaching out, it was merely a business transaction about him helping her out, which therefore she used him, even though he knew about it, but okay. But then also on top of that, because then he says we won't be sleeping together, blah, 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 which is quite interesting because if you know you're only helping her out to be on the show, well then of course, sleeping together and all that kind of stuff wouldn't make sense because that means your relationship hasn't been rekindled. Your relationship is now here for the purpose of you being on a show. So make it make sense. When she reached out to him, was the purpose of them being together or the purpose of them being on the show? I'm just curious. But either way though, she blocked him again, reached out to him again for the second time, And he still said yes. It's interesting how it's easy for the sister to say that Renee is a mad woman and she's done all these things, but yet your brother still accepted to be with her on the show, not once, but twice. And also on top of that, somewhere down the line, he was also talking about marriage in that conversation. And then also somewhere down the line, there was also the conversation about them two not being intimate and not sharing the same bed. Certain things aren't adding up to me personally. But here's the thing though. Personally for me, when somebody is being defensive or being protective, depending on how they're being protective / defensive, sometimes that can be a bit suspect. And I say that because you see, remember what I said to you guys at the very beginning? The only reason why I needed to look into this and find out who this person is, who Chidi's sister, I don't know if I said that already. But yeah, Chidi's sister, right? It's just that because she started commenting on other people's posts, other people's comments, that's what made me feel like what's going on. So let's read what else she had to say. This person comes in at the very beginning by saying, thanks for giving a premiere on the phrases players use on another person. It is a shame that people are so lonely or unloved that those phrases of love are believed. Both of these individuals are damaged. The sister comes in and says, it's difficult to believe, and I don't expect you to. Those are lies. Renee edited those things because she always thought of fights, rancor, and animosity. She had always thought about herself. She is lying, and she knows what she's doing. Ah, God help Chidi. So why would Chidi agree to take her back not once but twice? Because it seems to me as if she reached out to him to be on the show, but then it seems to me as if he accepted her back in for a romance. That it's like, what's going on here? What argument are we having? But anyway, continued by saying it's quite unfortunate that he doesn't know the person who's primary. Chidi is a great person. No, he's a great guy. That's who he is, and it makes me so glad knowing he's so genuine and so unfortunate to have dealt with a mad woman. Well, the mad woman from your inspiring love story? And then also on top of that, someone else came in the comment section and said, if a person from that area is saying things like that and you believe they have loved you for years, well, we now know that these two clearly had no love for years according to the sister, because you see, out of those 5 years, only 2 to 3 years out of them, they wasn't even talking. But nonetheless, though, then you have far more issues than what we've seen so far. And damn, that's saying a lot. Laugh out loud. She's the problem here. For me personally, they are both the problem. And as you can see, the sister comes in right at the bottom and says, Chidi never said those things, she edited them. So defensive. So defensive. But here's the thing though. Talking about being defensive, I also noticed in the comment section that the sister can be rather defensive too, because you see, someone else came in the comment section and decided to ask a merely simple question. How do you know all these things? Now, of course, this person was clearly unaware that this is Chidi's sister. Someone else comes and says, she is Chidi's sister, the one you see on the show. But at the same time, she was like, listen, oh, my bad. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. But the response the sister gives is very interesting. She says, and I realize I'm in the way, are you doubting it? Whoa, relax. She's just asking you, how do you know all of this? You don't need to be so freaking defensive. Oh my gosh. Nonetheless, though, here's the thing. This is everything that has gone on with the sister and her involvement with the brother. Whether or not the sister's telling the truth, I guess that is something for you guys to have a guess about. For me personally, the brother had 2 chances to reject Renee, but still decided to be on the show anyway. So that tells me that there's a lack of accountability from him, a lack of accountability from his sister about the situation, and also tells me, why would you then agree to go on the show to then tell us on the show that you did not tell Renee about this, and you've told her about No, so on the show, he tells Renee about the intimacy and sleeping together on the episode. So what I'm saying is, why would you be comfortable enough to go on the show with her to make up a storyline for them to be defensive about it because it is now backfired? It's like people go on the show and they're not ready for the heat. Like, bruh, you agreed to this. Now we don't know if you agreed to a lie, or this is generally what happened. You generally did not tell her this, but whether it's a matter where you generally didn't tell her this information before she came, or it's a matter that you agreed to do this storyline, why are you backtracking now? Everything looks suspect now when it comes to Chidi and it comes to his sister now. Okay, there's no point of backtracking something that you clearly agreed to. Make it make sense. Oh, I can't handle being under the heat now. player, whatever you say. But we ain't done yet. We are far from that. Renee, as you know, loves to be active on her socials. So now she had a few things to say as well. She says here, Chidi, remember, we were bigger than anything. And you do need to remember us at our best. The thing that I found interesting though is that everything that Renee says is from a certain perspective of a certain argument. But everything that's coming from Chidi's side is from something from a different argument. I feel like they're both having two different kind of conversations. Just think about that. But also on top of that, she continues by saying, I never thought I would have a TV network exploit me to this degree. And worst of all, they involved what they can clearly see was a lying, evil scammer. The words and thoughts that came out of his mouth are purely disgusting and evil. I would have never stooped so low to hurt somebody to this degree. Because things weren't turning out my way. I am God sent. But your darkened heart wouldn't let you see the truth. Truth, honesty, loyalty, kindness, and love is the only way to enter the light. Wait, to enter the light. Are you talking about the light is in like when you enter heaven? Are you talking about the light when the aliens come here and then they basically boom us into their spaceship with the light that booms down? Sorry, I just had to banter about that one. Because we all know about her and the aliens. It's because of a lower vibrational force is why you have behaved the way you did and do. But you believe what you want to believe. I've never forced anyone to believe anything I said or say. I mean, to be fair, on the show, you did tell us that shit would come around to you and your wokeness, but okay. But I guess at the same time, that's not you forcing, that's you just saying that he's going to believe it at some point. So, you know, I'll give you that. Now, just to summarize everything that is going on here and everything that has happened in this video, for me personally, let's look at it this way. These two have known each other for 5 years. In those 5 years, they were not in contact for 2 to 3 years, which is kind of confusing because 2 to 3 years is a big gap, but we'll just say 3 years, all right? Let's round it up. So they were in contact for 3 years. So then 2 years after that, there was time that was spent where Renee was allegedly convincing this man to basically be on the show. And whilst knowing that this woman was crazy, she was a mad person, she was a mad woman, but still proceeded to be on the show regardless, even though he had opportunities to walk away from her. This reminds me of another American with another Nigerian who was with her for 7 years and had multiple chances to leave her, while she also had multiple chances to leave him too, but either way, he still stuck around. And then once it got to the States, he just basically ran away and then started GoFundMe. But hey, we won't talk about that. Some people don't like that conversation. Either way though, I'm just saying, the sister can sit here and be all defensive all she likes. Chidi can be here and be defensive all she likes, or he likes to. But the matter of the fact is, whether or not is a case of where you agree to be on the show to help her, you agree to it. So you stand on your business. Or whether or not it's a matter where it was a complete opposite and you're telling us the truth, blah, 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 blah. It's like, make it make sense. There is no sense here, right? So you just... Yeah, so it's interesting how the argument from Chidi and his sister is based on the fact that Renee basically forced him to be on the show because he was used. And now because the show isn't displaying the way they want to be displayed, they're now upset about it, even though that isn't necessarily the case because the show hasn't done nothing to them thus far. All that has happened is that Chidi has said in his own mouth on the show that, hey, I did not tell Renee about our intimacy before she came to Nigeria. So you're trying to defend yourself on something that you blatantly said. Make that make sense. Meanwhile, Renee is just trying to say, listen, guys, what her argument is completely different. You know, her argument is that, listen, this guy has been playing me since day one. This guy has been lovebombing me since day one. This guy was telling me this, and he wasn't doing it. And now, because I'm on the show, everything that we've spoken about and everything has gone away. It's not fair because the show is now edited in a way where it's making me look like I'm crazy and making him look like he's a good person. Imagine this. Chidi's been made look like more like the better person, and he's complaining. She's complaining because, generally speaking, the show has definitely made her look like she is a complete villain, which probably she is, to be fair. You know what I mean? But what are we arguing about here, you two? Come on, kids, let's all talk about it. Even I'm confused, to be honest, to a certain degree. But nonetheless, though, let me know your thoughts on yourself in particular. Give me your thoughts. Nonetheless, though, it's another normal day in 90 Day Fiancé world. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, and of course, peace.